It all happened in November, on the 3rd of November to be precise. And since that day, every moment of my life has been printed indelibly on my mind. It was a terrible night, dreadful weather, pouring rain, cold, relentless, piercing through. A sort of rain which has a distinct animosity towards people. The city where I live is a pretty depressing place at the best of times. But that night was the gloomiest hole on earth. At 11 o'clock, the rain suddenly stopped. It gave way to a horrible dampness, freezing cold damp, piercing through. Made a sort of steam rise up from the gutters and the pavements. I glanced up at the sky. It was pitch black. I could make out the torn wisps of clouds, and between them, fathomless dark chasms. In the depths of one of those pits, I noticed a tiny star. It sparkled. Lonely, beautiful. I gazed at it for a long while. I was transfixed by it. Because that tiny star had given me an idea. I would kill myself that night. Oh, I decided to kill myself long before that. At least 2 months before. In fact, despite my financial predicament, I'd splashed out on a revolver. I'd taken it home and loaded it immediately. So you see, each night for 2 months, I had returned to my rooms with the firm intention of shooting myself. It was just a question of finding the perfect moment. And now, that tiny star had given me the clue. It had to be that night. No question about it. I had to do it that night. Now you're asking, why did that little star clinch the matter? I've no idea. Anyway, there I stood staring up at the sky, when suddenly this little girl grabbed hold of my arm. She must have been about 8. And all she had on in this cold was a thin cotton dress, badly torn. She was soaked to the skin. But I particularly remember her broken sandals. I remember them even now. They struck me particularly. She seemed terrified by something. She clutched hold of my elbow. And she was crying out, babbling, "Mama, my mama." I turned and walked away. I said nothing. But she came after me, tugging at my coat, making that odd sound, that strangulated sound. The final moment of despair. I know that sound. She was choking on her words, but it was quite clear that her mother lay dying or somewhere nearby. Or some other disaster had happened to the woman, and the girl had run into the street to find help. Well, I didn't go. On the contrary, I tried to get rid of her. I told her to call the police. But she grabbed hold of my hand. I shook it away. She ran after me. Well, that was when I turned, stamped my foot, and I screamed at her. And all she did was to cry out, "Sir, oh, please, please." Then she stopped. She left me. She ran across the road. I think somebody must have been turning the corner, and she ran from me to him. I arrived home. I went straight to my room. I sat down at my table. I opened the drawer and I took out my revolver. I looked at it. I lifted it. I pressed the barrel against my lips. It was very cold. My breath hung in the air. Very carefully, I pulled back the catch. And as I did so, I remember asking myself, is this it? And replying with absolute certainty, oh yes, this is it. And then I remembered the little girl. Well, I was in a dilemma, you can see that. She had created a problem. If I were going to kill myself in a few minutes, why should I be bothered with her? Why bother with anything in the whole world? And yet, I felt pity. She had touched me. She appeared to need me, as if I mattered. But why? Why? All right, so why did I scream at her? How could such a tiny voice challenge all the conclusions I'd come to? Question all my arguments? All these things went round and round in my head. I just sat there, staring at my gun, turning these questions over and over in my mind. That little girl saved my life, because then, something that's never happened to me before. I fell asleep in my chair.